What's up everyone, I'm Gushy and welcome to RPG Labs. In this video, me going over how to get around 300,000 runes pretty easily. All of these bosses are pretty much in the same area. I'm guessing this is just the area that has a bunch of high level enemies, so most of these bosses drop a ton of runes. Before we start, if you found this video helpful, please drop a like and check out our Elden Ring playlist where we go over guides like these, breakdowns on all different classes and mechanics in the game, and tips and tricks on how to master Elden Ring. The first location that we're going to be going to is right over here on the map. Big shoutouts to Yoshi2500 for showing me this method, and a link to his channel will be down below in the description. This may look a little bit familiar. As you guys might know, this is a popular farming spot, as each one of those little people in this area gets you 1000 XP. However, the set of grace that we will be traveling to is right here at Land's Rise. The mini boss that we'll be facing is called the Knight's Cavalry, but the only time that it does spawn is at night. So if you need to at the site of grace, go ahead and select the option to pass the time to nightfall, and then make your way to the bridge right over here. Now all you have to do is run straight past this knight, look behind and make sure that he is following you, then hang a right up this hill. There's going to be these little poop looking things on the ground, so make sure to avoid this, as if you do run over them, they will explode into puffs of poison. If your poison meter does go up all the way, you will be poisoned and forced to heal. If you do this correctly, the boss's health bar on the bottom of your screen will disappear, and it'll say enemy felled. Now I'm not 100% sure on why he immediately dies. I don't think it's the poison, because you can see the numbers going down very slowly, and it's definitely not fast enough to kill him. This did take me a couple tries to get down, and I found that if you go up the hill too far away from the knight, he'll actually just despawn and respawn back on the bridge. And I think this is how he dies immediately. Once he is teleported back to the bridge, maybe his spawn point is slightly off, and he immediately falls to his death. And my recommendation is, if he does spawn back on the bridge, just repeat the process and have him despawn again, and hopefully it works. If that doesn't work, another method is to just wait for the poison to melt him down. The poison does act pretty slowly, but once he does respawn on the bridge, the poison is still in effect. So all you have to do is wait for the poison to take down his health. Of course, the poison damage will stop after a short period of time, but all you have to do is go back up the hill, get him poisoned again, and repeat the process. For this next farm, we're going to be using the site of grace called Farm's Great Bridge. Again, this might be pretty familiar, as it's the same spot with those little people. However, instead of going up the hill, you want to go across this bridge. There will be a dragon on the bridge, but don't worry. All you have to do is run straight past him, and he will never hurt you. Next, you're going to hang a right towards the minor Erd tree. There will be a Putrid Avatar right there. Again, ignore this enemy and go right around the tree. On the other side of the tree, you'll see a lift, which you can take all the way up, and then head to the site of grace right by the building on top of the hill. Once you do, all you have to do is head down the hill and you'll see a big elder dragon. This dragon literally does not move, so all you have to do is go right beside it and keep hitting it. Depending on what level you are, this might take a while, but you have all the time in the world. If you're more of a spellcaster and have more points into magic, definitely use those, as it might be a little faster. But if you run out of FP, you always have your weapon, and your stamina always regains. And this is pretty much the easiest farm ever, so definitely do it while you have the chance, because this might get patched. On the screen it does say plus 50,000 runes, but the way they added it up is kind of wrong, as I started out with only 2,000 runes and then end up with over 75k runes. I think you will be able to kill this dragon later, but they might fix the amount of runes given, so again, definitely do this as soon as possible. Now these next two methods aren't as cheesy as these other two, but again give you a crazy amount of runes, as you do fight bosses that have really simple mechanics, and I highly recommend trying this out, as these are probably the easiest mini bosses in the game. So when we crossed the bridge, we saw this dragon. Yeah, we're gonna fight it. At first I was trying this really cheesy way, where with your horse you can stand on the other side of the bridge. Most of the time this does protect you from the fire and some of his melee attacks, but because it doesn't work 100% of the time, along with the fact that you do get one shot by this dragon, I actually opted and found it easier to do this the normal way. This dragon's attacks are super telegraphed, and each of his attacks has a very simple counter, which gives you a lot of time to counter it and punish him afterwards to do damage. Now this dragon only has several attacks that you have to know. The very first one that he always throws out is when he blows fire on the ground. it always turns its head from your right to your left. So all you have to do is run towards the dragon on the left hand side, get behind him and do some damage. Once he finishes it, if you are too close, he will do a tail swipe. So definitely stay at medium distance. And I've got to say, this is the benefits of using a ranged character, whether it be melee or with a bow. The fact that you could be on your horse still doing damage while you have great mobility is kind of crazy. Next up, if he screams on the ground and rears his head back, he's going in for 2 head bashes, so again, just run away. If you're already at a medium distance, just make sure to dash with your horse to get that boost and gain a little bit more distance. Next up, we have his aerial attacks. When it's in the air, it only does 2 things. One is blow fire, which usually only covers the right hand side of the bridge. This is kind of inconsistent, so you may die here a couple times, but just hug the left hand side of the bridge and find the spot that has the least amount of fire and kind of hope for the best. The other attack he has in the air is marked by when it throws his head back and quickly jumps down on you. Once you notice this attack, you want to move sideways instead of further back, as this move doesn't really track you well horizontally. So again, just like the Knight's Cavalry, if the dragon does get too far from its bridge, it will despawn and respawn back on the bridge. When this happens, it's actually pretty good because most of the time the dragon does spawn facing away from you, which will give you a free couple hits in before he starts fighting back. So definitely this is not as easy as the Elder Dragon, but compared to farming those little people which only give you 1,000 per kill, I think 80,000 for a boss that's pretty easy is definitely worth the time. Alright, for this final mini boss that we're gonna fight, which gives you 91,000 runes, we're gonna head across the bridge and hang a right under the bridge. You should see that Putrid Avatar, and yep, we're gonna fight this guy too. I'd say this guy is way easier than the dragon. However, just like the dragon, it will one-shot you. So again, stay out of melee range and use your range attacks if you can. All but one of the avatar's attacks are melee attacks, so if you stay at a medium distance, you should have no problem avoiding all its attacks. At this point, the avatar will be following you up the hill. Again, just like the dragon, if it gets too far from its tree, it will despawn back to the bottom. So once I reach the top of the hill, I like to rotate back down the hill so I could continue doing damage. And I think more importantly, if you die too far from the tree as well, you'll have to spawn all the way back at that site of grace. But if you die by the tree, you'll have an option to spawn right by the tree and right in front of the boss. I'm not going to go over any of the melee mechanics because they're pretty simple to avoid. However, I did want to go over its one ranged attack, which again has a really simple counter. It starts off the move by throwing the hammer on the ground and you'll see a ball of lightning form. When this happens, all you want to do is run around the boss, as there will be lightning bolts shooting at your last location. If you run in a circle, the tracking isn't that good and you should be able to dodge all the bullets. And that's pretty much the whole boss fight. If you are a lower level, definitely use the runes that you got from these other bosses to increase that attack stat that you're focusing on. In my case, I just maxed out my faith. People have been saying that the soft cap for faith at least is around 40 or 50, so just keep in mind not to go over that. And with that, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys know other bosses or fights that are really easy and give you a lot of runes, let us know in the comment section down below so other people can see it and we could all take advantage of leveling up that much faster. As always, thank you guys for watching and hope to catch you in the next one. Peace!